The lights of BravoCon 2025 hit the Las Vegas venue with full intensity as fans swarmed the floor, all buzzing about Lisa Barlow. Rumors had taken over social media for weeks, painting her as the source behind leaked stories and defamatory press. Today was her moment to fight back. Lisa walked onto the stage with calm confidence, ready to speak. The room fell silent as she declared that she never leaked a single story. She called the accusations desperate and completely false, a last-minute attempt to push her out of the show. She leaned forward and challenged anyone accusing her to bring proof. She reminded the audience that she always keeps receipts and that none of the claims have any real evidence behind them. Before continuing with the unfolding drama, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Lisa explained that fans online, on Reddit, Twitter, and other platforms, had already admitted to posting and spreading information. She emphasized that these accounts were the real source, not her, and questioned why her castmates were ignoring that. She shared her frustration about waking up every day to another lie. She said it has become normal for her to start her mornings reading made-up stories and accusations. The emotional exhaustion was showing through each word. Lisa hinted that the accusations were a distraction from her castmates' own issues. Past legal problems and business failures had resurfaced, and she believed the blame was being shifted toward her to deflect attention. She told them plainly that if they don't want gossip, they shouldn't do things that invite it. As the pressure built, the group began breaking apart. Lisa admitted that most of her relationships were damaged. Trust was gone, and the constant lies had taken a toll she could no longer ignore. She felt targeted, isolated, and pushed into a corner. One relationship, however, remained unshaken. Her friendship with Meredith Marks stood strong through everything. Lisa confirmed that Meredith supported her unconditionally and that loyalty has been her strongest source of stability during the conflict. The future of the group is now uncertain. Tension is growing, alliances are shifting, and the entire cast dynamic is on the edge. Viewers will see all of it unfold in Season 6 as the drama reaches a boiling point. Lisa left the BravoCon stage with cameras flashing around her, but the tension didn't stop once she stepped backstage. Producers, assistants, and security moved quickly, whispering about how explosive her statements were. Even off camera, the pressure didn't let up. She could feel eyes on her from every direction, as if everyone was waiting for her next move. As she walked through the hallway, castmates who had avoided her earlier now watched her with tight expressions. Some whispered among themselves, others simply turned away. Lisa didn't react. She kept moving, knowing any sudden response would fuel even more rumors. The silence between them felt heavier than any argument. News outlets began posting clips of her interview within minutes. Headlines spread across social media, some supportive, others twisting her words. Lisa saw them in real time. She paused briefly, scrolling through comments from fans defending her and others doubling down on the accusations. She sighed deeply, but put her phone away, refusing to let the noise shake her confidence. She met with her team in a small lounge backstage. They told her the interview was already trending. They warned her that some cast members were planning to respond publicly. Lisa took a moment to breathe, then said she expected it. She told them she was done staying quiet and done allowing people to rewrite the story for their convenience. The conversation shifted to everything happening behind the scenes. The producers had noticed the divide getting worse, and Lisa confirmed that the dynamic within the cast had reached a breaking point. She said the lies weren't just happening in confessionals, they were happening in private conversations, in group events, and even during filming breaks. It felt coordinated, she said, a pile-on meant to push her into the villain role. She revealed she had held things back to protect relationships, but after months of constant attacks, she didn't feel obligated to protect anything anymore. She explained that people who once called her a friend were now twisting her words, leaking selective information, and trying to frame her as some mastermind manipulating the press. Lisa looked around the room with frustration, explaining she was tired of walking into events, unsure who she could trust. She had been excluded from group chats, left out of plans, and targeted in conversations she wasn't even present for. She said the betrayal hit harder because some of these people had once leaned on her for support. As she reflected on the season, she admitted she tried to keep the peace early on. She tried smoothing over misunderstandings, clarifying rumors, and avoiding explosive arguments. But no matter what she did, someone found a way to twist it into something negative. Eventually, she realized some castmates didn't want peace. They wanted control of the narrative. The more she spoke, the clearer the picture became. This wasn't just a fight. It was a slow collapse of trust, respect, and loyalty. And Lisa had reached the point where she refused to carry the weight alone. She took another deep breath and said the only thing she could rely on now was honesty. She wasn't afraid of showing the truth anymore, even if it made people uncomfortable. Before leaving the lounge, she checked her phone again. New messages appeared. Support from fans, comments from Bravo viewers, and one message from Meredith reminding her she wasn't alone. Lisa smiled slightly. It was the first real comfort she'd felt all day. The night wasn't over, and the drama wasn't ending anytime soon. The cast was scheduled for a group appearance later, and Lisa knew tensions were going to erupt the moment they stood side by side. She straightened her jacket, lifted her head, and walked out of the room. The battle was far from finished, and she was ready for whatever came next. As the evening events at BravoCon continued, the cast gathered backstage for their group panel. The energy was tight and uncomfortable, thick enough that even staff members hesitated before stepping into the room. Lisa walked in with steady confidence, but the shift in the atmosphere was instant. Several castmates stopped talking. Others exchanged quick glances. No one greeted her. She took her seat anyway, refusing to give the silent tension any power. Cameras weren't rolling yet, but the real drama already had a pulse. One cast member whispered something under her breath, loud enough for Lisa to hear, but quiet enough to deny later. Lisa stared forward, choosing not to engage. The production team signaled that the panel would begin in 90 seconds. 90 seconds until the world watched every move. Producers gathered the group, explaining the format and reminding them to keep things respectful. The irony lingered in the air. Lisa sat with her hands folded, already knowing the questions coming her way. There was no stopping the topic of leaks. Everyone expected fireworks. When the panel began, the host immediately addressed the elephant in the room. He asked the cast how they felt about the accusations and the emotional fallout. The crowd leaned forward, waiting to see who would speak first. One castmate quickly claimed she felt betrayed, hinting that certain people weren't being honest about their involvement with the press. The audience reacted with sharp murmurs. Lisa didn't interrupt, though her jaw tightened slightly. Another cast member added that patterns don't lie, suggesting Lisa had a history of controlling narratives. More murmurs, more tension. Then the host turned to Lisa. The room held its breath. Lisa calmly lifted the microphone and explained she had no reason to leak anything. She repeated that she had never contacted tabloids, never pushed stories, and never used the press as a weapon. She said she was done taking the blame for things she didn't do. Her voice stayed firm, steady and unshaken. The audience applauded. She then added that what hurt the most wasn't the rumors, but the willingness of people she once trusted to publicly tear her down. She said friendships shouldn't collapse, the moment lies become convenient, and she would no longer carry the burden of other people's insecurities or mistakes. The host asked if she believed the accusations were intentional. Lisa didn't hesitate. She said yes. She believed they were targeted attempts to isolate her and shift focus away from other people's unresolved issues. The room buzzed loudly at that. Some castmates stiffened in their seats, knowing the comment was directed at them. The panel continued, but the divide was obvious. While other topics came up, business ventures, Season 6 storylines, fan questions, the tension never disappeared. Whenever the focus drifted, it eventually circled back to the fractures in the group. By the time the panel wrapped, Lisa stood up without waiting for anyone's reaction. She thanked the audience, smiled for fans, and walked off stage with the same calm confidence she carried all day. Behind her, castmates whispered again, but she didn't look back. She had said everything she needed to say. Back in her hotel suite later that night, she finally exhaled. She removed her shoes, sat on the edge of the bed, and allowed herself a moment of quiet. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Messages from fans, notifications from BravoCon, and another supportive text from Meredith reminding her of their friendship. Lisa felt a sense of resolve settle in. The truth was out. The accusations had been answered. And no matter how the season unfolded, her voice was no longer buried under rumors. She glanced at the Las Vegas skyline through the window, lights flickering across the horizon. The drama would continue. New episodes would air. Viewers would dissect every moment. But tonight, she felt stronger than she had in months. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more opinions, more shifting dynamics. But Lisa wasn't afraid of any of it. She had made her stand, clearly, directly, and unapologetically.